Hey, all, welcome to the TikTok Take with Doug Padgett. Today, I'm playing you an interview that I did with Russell Rathbun a couple of weeks ago. So you may have seen this already in the live stream. And by the way, if you're not watching for these on the live stream, this is the live stream edition of a new show that I've started on the live stream called And in the Other Chair, this time with Russell Rathbun. Now, Live in the Other Chair is a different show than the TikTok Take with Doug Padgett, but I'm willing to include the And in the Other Chair interviews to those of you who subscribe to the TikTok Take with Doug Padgett, because I think the world of you, and I'm glad you're enjoying these shows. So my conversation with Russell is really great. Russell has been a friend of mine for a long time. I will just tell you that the work that I do and the community that I'm a part of in Minneapolis called Solomon's Porch would not exist in the form that it is if it weren't for Russell Rathbun. He has been an influence in my life for a very long time. We are contemporaries in age, and he has written a book called The Great Wall of China and the Dalton Sea. And he talks about the book. We talk about the book. It has a really different vibe and feel than the TikTok Take episodes. I think you're going to enjoy it. Russell is a great author. He's a really fun person to be around. I think you're going to enjoy this. You should find him on the internet, Russell Rathbun, Rathbun, Russell Rathbun. And his book is The Great Wall of China and the Dalton Sea. And you're just going to love it. So here's my conversation from And in the Other Chair live stream show with Russell Rathbun. Oh, and I should say that part of the And in the Other Chair vibe is that we drink a bottle of wine together. And I was not a sip into it, but had forgotten to turn on the recording for this in the first 15 seconds. So I asked Russell at the start of the interview to tell us a little bit about his book and when it came out. It had just come out a few weeks ago. It came out on the third week of January. That was a Tuesday, third week of January. On that Friday, Donald Trump was inaugurated as the 45th president of the United States. So there was a little distraction, and I was asking him about the fact that the book came out at sort of an inopportune time, and that's where we pick up our conversation. So here is our conversation from And in the Other Chair, this time with Russell Rathbun.
After party, book launch after party, which was so nice at the Turf Club, and these bands played. But, there was a lot of other things going on.
Like what?
January 19th.
Like what were you thinking about?
Well, a lot of my good friends were in Washington, D.C.
Literally, Tuesday was all books come out on Tuesday.
Right, all the books come out.
Free fact to people.
All books come out on Tuesday. So Thursday was my book launch, and the inauguration was the next day.
Unbelievable.
And so all my good friends, great artists, and brave women, all went out there for this march, and it was fantastic for that Saturday march. But there were so many events. People were in mourning. People were in shock, But, this book, the Great Wall of China and the Dalton Sea, Monuments, Missteps, and the Audacity of Ambition, could not have been more timely.
Well, and that is an exceptionally smooth way to repeat the title again.
Oh, you mean the Great Wall of China and the Dalton Sea, Monuments, Missteps, and the Audacity of Ambition on Erdman's? Yeah.
That is a professional grade author. Okay, so there's a couple things about this book that I think are great. One is that title, so I would love to chat with you about that title.
And can I tell you this? Because I'm going to go on my Facebook and share it. Is that what I do?
Are great. Yeah, hang on. See, how many bottles of wine are we into this thing actually?
Like 2 sips.
So I'm going to tag you in this post.
Okay.
Do you know? I need friends. You see it already? We need a producer for all these podcasts and shows.
Yeah, absolutely.
So if anyone wants to just move to Minneapolis, or if you're already in Minneapolis, you want to be...
And you're near Peacedale.
And you can come near Peacedale Studios on Peacedale Avenue. We could use I think there's nothing more that says 21st century more than a couple of middle-aged guys typing on their phones.
Yeah. So because I can't. How does this thing work again?
Can't read it.
So
this morning when I was picking out my outfit, there's a number of things, like I'm sure you do when you're picking out your outfit for the day. You think to yourself, who do I want to be today in what way, right? Which you are you presenting to the rest of the world, right?
Right.
Is it sporty you? Is it dressy you? Is it authoritative you?
Right.
I don't have that one, but people do.
I don't have sporty, so
you don't? Okay, yeah. And as I was looking through my closet, which is a very small range of color palettes, this particular shirt struck me.
I like it.
And
because of that
today,
pink right there.
Look at
that.
The pink and the gray and the blue, and then this with my skin tone.
And then look at the hat.
And the hat, so I kept the hat on with the desert, so it's almost
Yeah.
like this.
Oh, wow.
So
That's
anyway, I dressed up for the inaugural
Yeah.
and in the other chair. And I thought maybe I'll do that now. This will create a thing that we will, whenever somebody comes on.
Let the guests, suggest the color palette,
Yes.
what their personality, their product,
If I could, what would be really fun is to always dress almost exactly like the other person. If I could figure out what they're wearing.
Well, I dress a little different. I don't know if you know. Usually, when I do some official thing, I like to have a tie on or some kind of a coat or whatever.
You do. You're a very
like,
formal fellow.
Yeah, just like. But I thought a little more casual. I didn't know the set, man.
Yeah,
I didn't know the set.
If I had said velour background,
I would have. I could have.
Hand cut dyed.
I think I have a jacket with a collar exactly like that. So.
Oh, you do?
I think so. That might have been a little bit much.
And part of the reason you like to dress well is that you are a Baptist preacher.
Don't tell my Lutheran bishop that. But
somebody asked me today if you were Lutheran. I said I don't think so. I think they were just chasing the money. But is that not true?
We caught the money.
You caught the money.
Yeah,
You didn't have to chase it.
Yeah.
You just had to be open to it.
We chased it and we caught it. But no, I'm a Baptist preacher and a Lutheran minister. So I was ordained. My dad's a Baptist preacher. I was ordained a Baptist preacher, American Baptist. And then theologically, though, my church and my colleagues in my church, we appreciated what would you say? West Baptist evangelicals, we know our Bible.
Yes.
And I like that a lot. That's just how I was raised.
I feel like I know my Bible.
Those are my people. Yeah.
I felt like the Bible was a member of the community that you would get to know. You're like, no, I know the Bible like that. Like it.
The Bible is like Jesus.
Yeah.
But it would, in the same way, it's kind of cool because, like, in a way, I don't want to presume for another faith, but the Torah really has that same kind of personality as Jesus does. That the Torah is the Savior. The Torah is the one that you have a personal. The Torah is the living Word that you have a personal relationship with.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like that with the evangelicals, but Lutheran theology.
But somehow it sounds so much better to say that about like my rabbi Joseph Edelheit. It feels so much better than when I say it about.
Yeah, the Torah is the living Word,
and I have a relationship with it rather than the Bible is.
Than to say that that Doug really knows his Bible.
Yeah,
it's different. Yeah. It's a different vibe.
Yeah. Okay, so anyway, your Lutheran colleagues.
But the Lutheran theology was something that just is a little bit more where we're at.
Oh, really?
Absolutely.
The grace and
just this notion that that is like with evangelicalism, right? It's always like the grace is activated by something you do as an individual.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And it just does not seem tenable.
Yeah.
That the mercy of God can be deterred by the actions of a 12-year-old boy.
Yeah, right.
I don't believe that.
It does seem a little funny, doesn't it?
So anyway, and it's kind of like here in Minnesota where we are, it's like the Lutheran Church, the ELCA, is like Target. It's like
this is the brand name.
It's religion. The brand name, and also it's corporate, but it's just somehow walking through Target makes me feel calm.
Doesn't it make you feel? I do that sometimes when I'm in other places too. You go in and you're like, oh, I know where they came up with these ideas.
I know, yeah.
Like the people that pick these products.
Yeah.
I know. They're from our place.
I know, so it does.
I wonder if people from Arkansas feel that way about Walmart.
When they go in there like, I was in New York City and I went into a Walmart and I just could breathe again.
Finally.
Yeah, probably.
So, in addition to being a preacher and a minister.
Can I give a
Both of
shout out
those.
to my bishop? Bishop
Would you?
Lowell. I love her. She's fantastic.
Really?
Yeah. I never knew that I would like having a bishop.
Yes.
But this bishop, the St. Paul Synod bishop, Patricia Lowell, she's the best.
Should I have her on the end of the other chair sometime?
You should totally. She would
really?
be
She would do it?
Oh,
You think she would say yes?
I think she would. She's amazing. Yeah.
I'll have her on. I have a bishop. I'm not in a system, but...
Oh, really? You just chose one?
I did. I've chosen, my bishop is Marianne Buddy, Bishop Marianne Buddy. She's the bishop of the Episcopal Diocese of Washington, D.C. now. She used to be the priest and rector at a church here in Minneapolis. And then she was my Episcopal priest, but now she's my bishop because she became a bishop. So I got a bishop out of the deal, and she's my favorite. So, and I have a rabbi.
I have a rabbi too. Yeah, I have a rabbi too.
Yeah, and I have an imam.
Yeah.
Ani Zonneveld.
Man,
If you, I would share her with you.
I need an imam.
Do you?
Yeah.
Ani runs an organization called the Center for Progressive, Muslims for Progressive Values.
Yeah.
It's fantastic what they do. I'm a big fan of my imam.
Yeah.
Sort of the way people are fans of their TV preachers. Like if their church has a television service, they really feel proud of it.
Yeah.
They feel good.
Yeah.
Speaking of that, this is like our version of a television show, and you're a guest on it.
Yeah.
This book, The Great Wall of China and the Salton Sea: Monuments, Missteps, and the Audacity of Ambition, is wanting to be the second best-selling book around audacity.
Yeah, there is another one out there I've heard that did pretty well several years ago.
Yeah, it kind of. He got a lot out of that book. He got a lot of mileage.
It took him a long way.
Yeah,
it took him a long way.
Do you?
I don't need all that.
No. A couple of speaking deals.
Yeah, right. But this is kind of like the flip side of the audacity of hope in a way.
Well, that's what I wanted to ask you about before we get into the fantastic title, which is The Great Wall of China and the Salton Sea.
Monuments, Missteps, and the Audacity of Ambition.
When you use the audacity of ambition, that really feels like the landing point. Like there are things about monuments and missteps, but you're really talking about this audacity of ambition.
Right, yeah.
So say a little bit about that for people that have been busy since Inauguration Day. This is really the inaugural book.
It is, yeah. I think
if there's any book to come out,
it really is, because what it's really about is so God, in the book,
I've heard rumors.
before God says, don't eat that.
Yes.
God says, be fruitful and multiply, and have dominion over the earth and spread over the earth.
Yeah.
This is what God, the first thing God tells us to do. And people do it like mad.
Yeah.
I mean, I think it's like 4 verses later before God pulls the plug on the whole thing. Yeah. Because it's like he kills pretty much everybody after that, because he's like, this is too much.
Yeah.
This is too much. People just do it. It's like, and even like in the Hebrew, it's even the language is even better. It's this notion that people start to swarm. They start to swarm all over the earth. It's just like so much. And so God knocks them back, pretty much cuts them back, reset.
Yeah.
After that, the first thing people do is they kind of take off and they build the Tower of Babel. They build this tower to the sky, and God again is like, too much, knocks it down, scatters everybody.
Scatters them again, yeah.
So it's this notion like, why is it in
Building
this...
and scattering.
Why is this story that God puts something inside God's creation that compels us, to gallop forward, to build and to make and to conquer and to explore.
Yeah.
And that impulse is pretty much responsible for all the bad shit that has happened in human history, right?
Yeah. What about the good shit, too? Does it have anything to do with that? Or is there none?
Polio vaccine, That's pretty good.
That's pretty good.
I mean, a lot of good stuff comes of it,
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Like clean water systems.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, for
People
sure.
not killing their brother.
Killing their
any
brother,
longer.
not sacrificing humans to this notion of a god to, make it rain or whatever.
Yes, right.
I mean, to explore more. I mean, science and literature and just, basic evolving of how we understand and care for each other.
So without ruining the book, what's your take on that? Why is this
there's
impulse?
there's no real surprise.
There's no
ending.
answer.
No, there's no. So
There's
there's
no
no.
answer to
You don't
this.
need to. We're not going to give away anything.
Yeah. There ain't anything to give away.
I don't know what you.
This idea, I remember you talking about this 2 years ago. Would that be right?
I've been working on this for
ago?
like 5 years.
For 5 years.
Yeah, for 5 years.
Yeah. Did you go to see the Great Wall of China, or did you just see it from a satellite or something? Am I remembering this right?
So anyway, the book starts out with this thing this repetition says there are only two man-made objects you can see from outer space. One is the Great Wall of China, and the other is the Salton Sea. One is the result of amazing feats of engineering and the work of thousands and thousands of people, and the other is the result of a gigantic mistake.
And which is which?
Because the Salton Sea is a result of a mistake.
It is.
Yeah, that these people, turn of the century, these great soldiers of manifest destiny after they'd made it all the way to the
20th
to the
century,
West
from the
Coast.
19th to 20th
mhm,
century,
right.
not the one 15, 16.
Right, no, they look back over their shoulder and what else can we do? And they see this desert there. And at the time, they didn't know that a desert was a fully functioning ecosystem. They just thought it was dirt.
It was lacking something.
Right, yeah. And then they saw this Colorado River just, uselessly draining into the ocean.
Huh.
And they thought, I bet we could divert that river, build irrigation canals,
That sounds
irrigate
fantastic.
this entire desert, and we could
Get Phoenix
sell
out of that
these
thing.
plots to all these farmers and ranchers, and we'll develop it all and just sell it to all these people and make a lot of money and provide food for the world.
Let's say for a minute someone on their Friday afternoon at work is not paying attention and they've clicked over to Facebook and they're now watching this or they're listening to this on their podcast. What if they don't know where the Salton Sea is?
They would be like, most other people.
who've never heard of
uh-huh.
the Salton Sea.
Yeah. But if you do look on your Google Earth or when you're flying to LA on your seat back,
Yes.
you can literally see there's a gigantic body of water in the desert you can see on your seat back map, and you might think, what the hell is that? I mean, it's that big.
Where is it in our relationship to states?
So it's in California.
Just for people who don't know.
Sure. It's in California.
Okay.
It is. It's 20 miles south of Palm Springs, 40 miles north of the Mexican border.
That's real desert out there.
Yeah, that's real. That is real desert. So
they divert this river.
yes, well, they build this thing. They build the canals. They build these little canals, and then
that's incredible genius.
I
What
mean,
they're
that
pulling
is
off.
the audacity of
audacity.
ambition right there.
Yes, I love it.
Why don't we take this river? What is this Colorado River like?
Is this like
Oh, the
1910?
no, this is like 1895.
God, I love the 1890s.
I know.
Full of
just
audacity of
so
ambition.
much audacity.
They did
of ambition.
so much.
Yeah. And boy, we're reaping the consequences
good
or
point.
rewards of it, now still
That's
to
right.
this point. So they see this Colorado River, they're like, we can do what we want. I mean, what is it? It only carved the Grand Canyon, right?
So this is well before these are states, at least the states in between. Arizona's not a state at this point.
It's not? In 1895, Arizona's not a state?
I think it's 1920s. But
Really?
yes.
Wow.
So I think
California is certainly a state.
Sorry if people live in Arizona that whole time, and we don't even know enough about it to know when it was a state.
I did resist saying it's still not really a state.
No, not really.
Yeah,
it's kind of a big city. There's Phoenix, the Grand Canyon.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So anyway, they divert it. They make this big canal, and there's going to be this time, where they throw the switch, and they're going to divert the canal. It's going to go into all this canal. So this would be great. So they do it, and there were some minor engineering miscalculations.
How much can you expect from people in the 1890s?
Yeah, right. It was heavy snowfall, and it's just I don't know. So they That's my son calling.
He's watching. He's
I know.
saying,
He's
Dad,
like,
you're
"Oh yeah,
embarrassing.
nice."
How did you not know that, that Arizona didn't become a state? You keep telling that story. He's calling you back again. Maybe there's a crisis.
Yeah, no, I don't think so.
Okay. He just does that?
He wants his allowance.
He just calls repeatedly?
If I don't answer.
Yeah.
I may be in a meeting. I may be,
That's right.
performing a funeral, but
but he's going to call you.
He's going to call me.
Okay, so
they do it, and they pull the switch. They divert the mighty Colorado River into this giant all-American canal to go into all these other canals and they've already sold all this land to people and everything like that.
I love it.
And it goes, and I guess there's this one curve where it's supposed to curve, and it doesn't curve.
Wow.
It just goes straight through the side of that canal, and it goes. And so out in the middle of that desert, it's called the Salton Sink, which is a tectonic pull-apart zone, which is kind of exactly what.
So when did you learn this? That there's a tectonic pull-apart zone in the research for the book?
Yeah, in the research for the book.
Something,
yeah.
This is you're beyond common knowledge. At
beyond
this point.
common
This isn't
knowledge,
the thing that smart people just know.
No, they don't. I know. I didn't know about tectonic pull-apart zones.
Yeah.
So it's 273 or something feet below sea level, and it really is like what it sounds like.
Yes.
It's a place where the Earth's crust is pulled apart because by the San Andreas Fault.
Wow.
So it's down there. So like all water likes to do, it goes to the lowest point. So the entire Colorado River just goes...
Just dumps into this...
Goes and drains into... And they do everything to stop it. They finally, they can't do it. They can't do anything. Everything, because it's... They build railroad tracks up to the edge of this thing and fill tracks with stone and start running them off the edge of the thing.
Just trying to divert that water.
Trying to stop that water and get it back on there. So it drains. This happens in 1905, and they finally stop it in 1907. The Colorado River drains into the desert.
Really?
And is filling up the desert for 2 years. Now, you've probably messed up before.
I have.
At work, or something.
Been a time or two.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. I'm in the people business, so it tends to cause real problems, but yes.
So can you imagine that mess up? How are you feeling? Like you're going like, you get home from work and your wife's like, what's wrong? You seem tense. Well, it worked today.
I miscalculated and diverted 10 really gallons of water. How far away did that water end up going then compared to where they wanted it to go?
Well, okay, so it goes into the canals, and the canals, it's a vast canal system. They got it back on track, and they actually did they did tame the Colorado River. It has not drained into the Sea of Cortez, the ocean for, 100 years now.
The Colorado River used to run into the ocean, and some people, not we, I really can't take credit for this.
Yeah. Although, in a way, the whole point of the book, we're all doing this all the time.
Good point.
Yeah.
We rerouted the river to no longer, it's not, they didn't take part of it. They didn't, split some of it.
No.
They took the end point and moved it.
They got the rights, this private land development company, got the rights to something like 60% of all the Colorado River water.
Wow.
Yeah.
So they still own it. They still have to give it out to parts of California and others, or
somebody else kind of stepped in with the whole. I mean, they couldn't really maintain it anymore. I mean, they could not fix the problem.
Oh, I see. So
the company did not.
What was it like?
Survive.
The engineers.
It was the California. It was the California Land Development.
Yeah.
They didn't make it out of that. So now it's like this is water wars now, because most of that water is in the city of San Diego now.
Oh, it's in San Diego.
Because water is so scarce there, and it does your little baby lettuce, and pretty much 90% of all your winter vegetables come from there.
Would San Diego not have been thriving as a sort of livable space without this diversion?
Could not exist.
Really?
Yeah.
So in some ways, when you say there's this great human endeavor that was a success, the the manifestation of that was the protection of Israel or of China.
Yeah.
And the mistake was the development of San Diego.
Right, in the same way that L.A. could not exist without, the Owens Lake, which they completely, drained and sent to L.A.
So there's a lot of people who would say to themselves, San Diego is awfully great. How's that a failure? Like, why do you, in the missteps, why do you put the Salton Sea in the category of...
Well, because here's the, I think, like you mentioned, okay, I'm just looking that you're ahead of me, so I'm,
Well, you've been talking a lot, and it's good that you do.
Yeah.
You're in the other chair.
Yeah, so, well, it's the same way that you said, okay, the manifestation of the Great Wall of China is the protection of China.
Yes. Is that not true?
It didn't work that way. It was beautiful engineering. All these people worked on it. Actually, so many people lost their lives. It was like created by a megalomaniac,
Yeah.
Yeah. And
Does it take a megalomaniac to call for a border wall? Is that what you're suggesting?
Yeah, exactly, yeah. No, and this is the Great Wall. Trump, it's so funny. Whenever Trump mentions his wall, he calls it a great Wall. It's like he's totally,
like
completely... No, he's one-upping the Great Wall of China. I'm going to build a great Wall.
Like a 3-year-old. Yeah. Super great wall.
Yeah. And
Super
so
great wall.
they build this wall, and it's, big, and it's like, wide... And it turns out that they made it so chariots could ride down it and stuff like that. But there was not enough people to guard this wall. And where they did have guard stations, these people could be easily bribed.
Is it 5,000 miles long or something? Or is it more than that?
Well, the thing is, like, it's a debate. You don't even know how long it is. Because there's old walls, there's new walls, it goes all around. But what it turned out is, once you got on, if you were an invading northern horde, once you got up on top of that wall, it was like a super highway straight to the heart, straight to the heart of the city. So it was,
That's funny. Yeah. But ultimately, the wall was the downfall.
Yeah. So
I love it.
Yeah.
Okay, so you pick these two man-made
objects that you could supposedly see from outer space. It turns out, actually, the Salton Sea you can see. Mm-hmm. The Great Wall you cannot,
So why would you ruin that for people? Like, just telling them that you can't? Because everyone listening right now thought you could see the Great Wall from...
I guarantee you...
How high is space?
I guarantee you... How high is space?
That you'd have to see it. Could I see it from...
How high is space, man?
What a hot air balloon. If you're right over it, could you see it then?
Well, what's technically space,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So you can't see it like from the heights that you can the other land
because I bet
masses.
you so many people watching this when I said two man-made objects you can see from outer space, the Great Wall of China, Salton Sea. I bet so many people thought to themselves, but technically you cannot see the Great Wall of China from space. A lot of people know that.
Maybe the people that are watching from your feed, people watching from my feed, said, I don't know what the Salton Sea is. I'm sure you could see the Great Wall because we believe rumors.
Yeah,
I have a lot of religious people that listen, we tend to believe rumors.
I think my people are going like, how high is space?
Okay, so you pick these two big metaphors, and then on the front of the book, and a lot of I do judge books by their cover.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know if you do. I think that's why there's a cover.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
You're supposed to.
Yeah.
You have this trailer for people. If they're watching on the stream, they'll just see a book. They can't tell what it is.
Yeah.
They should buy their own book.
Yeah.
And then you can see the cover. And even though I didn't buy either of these, thank you. They're both gifts. I appreciate it. Thank you. But I would buy it.
Oh, yeah. I'm sure you will. Yep. So you see
at the front end table over at the bookstore when they're discounted. Sure. There's a trailer that is the kind of trailer that someone lives in, and it's all rusted out in this desert with deserty things in the background. And then the top is the Great Wall of China. It seems like you're doing something with that picture.
Well, so this place, so this is what the audacity of ambition does not stop with this gigantic mistake. So I'm going to readjust here.
Yeah,
that's all right. So
prostate issues. A lot of us have to rearrange. People don't know that older men have to move around a lot.
Yeah, I didn't know that.
That's what it is. It's your prostate that's making you uncomfortable.
I thought it was my existential angst, but I'm so glad.
It's about this big and it's getting harder and harder.
I'm glad. You even a lake this big, and this lake that they turned out finally this lake is 30 35 miles long. And it's
That's a big lake.
15 miles across.
That's unbelievable.
Yeah. And even a lake that...
You can't see, because of the arc of the earth,
Yeah.
you can't see across that lake. Like, it's like the ocean. If you're
Yeah,
standing out there. It's got to be, if it's 15 miles wide.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And even in the desert, even a lake that big would evaporate if there was no water coming into it.
Right.
Okay? But all the water, after they irrigate all this desert, all the irrigation runoff, agricultural runoff, goes into this lake.
Oh.
For
So
100 years. So
it's a mess.
It is a mess. And also it's a naturally very highly, it's just salt in the soil.
Like, it has none of the things that a lake normally has.
No, it's what do they call it?
In
Doric, I believe, in Doric Lake, which means there is no outflow. Most lakes, water comes in and
it's
goes
like
out.
the Dead Sea.
Right, exactly. It's like the
That's
Dead
an old
Sea.
preacher's story.
Yeah, right.
If you're only, do you know that story about those kind of metaphors?
No, but I just did the whole thing in my head.
Right,
Yeah,
right.
right.
If you're only taking in and nothing's
Right.
coming out, you're just going to go bad. You got to serve the world.
Well,
can't sit in the pew and just receive.
Like the preachers probably would say, if you're just taking things in and nothing's getting out, then all that mercury and arsenic and salt is staying in there.
Yeah, it's settled
and
in.
that's settling, and it's causing
So this is just toxic.
So
it's like,
but at first it's not so bad. So what these developers see this out there, and they go like, in a way, it's kind of like the ocean, and there's sand, so it's kind of like a beach.
oh my gosh.
So they buy up, all these different developers come in, and they call it the California Riviera.
I mean, is this not what every person who started something is just tapping into this story? That's exactly what I've done.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, I created something and said, it's not exactly, but it's kind of like.
It's kind of like.
And you started
sure,
a church.
It's really screwed up. But in a way, if you squint, it looks like the French Riviera.
Get the best image in your mind. Then imagine it here.
And those original developers who didn't go down there and say, I have an idea, let's farm this land. That wasn't their idea. They're like, I have an idea, let's sell this land as farmland to people. These developers, when they saw the California Riviera, they didn't go let's, live and we'll make these resorts. They thought, let's develop lots and a sales pitch and sell these vacation properties to people.
So what years was this? Like the 30s and 40s?
No,
50s?
this is the 50s and
By the 50s
and 60s.
So it hasn't gone all that bad yet.
No, the water is still you can go swim in it, and it's like they invent this sport to bring people down there called enduro speedboat racing.
Oh, because it's 35 miles long.
Exactly. And they do a 500-mile race, around,
It's like the Indianapolis 500 in boats.
They invent this thing, enduro speedboat, and they call it the fastest water on Earth because it's highly salinated, so the buoyancy, and it's just flat, and these boats, I guess, go really fast. I don't know. I've never seen a boat in there myself.
Wow.
But now...
It's unusable at this point?
Yeah, I mean, everybody will say, oh, no, you can go in there, you can get to eat the fish from there. It's like, you can swim in there, but nobody does.
I don't eat fish at all anymore. I am so convinced that every water source is mercury polluted.
And even if you go, depending on, I try, I go to that, Monterey Aquarium site that tells you what's, even then they're just basically saying, none.
Don't eat it.
Yeah, it's kind of hard.
So
they develop all these. So they develop all these. They sell all these things. And see, one reason that I really got involved in this story is that after my grandfather died, he lived in El Cajon, which is outside of San Diego. Mm-hmm. That's where they grew up.
Great area.
Yeah, and
people achieve El Cajon. They don't move to El Cajon.
Yeah, he moved to El Cajon when it was
when it was
out in the country, out in the country.
Yeah.
And he's this guy, he's kind of a thread in this book too, because he came from, Missouri, Dust Bowl, some great Syrah shit here.
Yeah.
He went out there and just dirt poor, hard life, His dad was my great grandfather, I guess, yeah, was like as mean as like a Depression era,
Yeah.
the Dust Bowl
Yeah.
dad would be, and so my grandpa moved out
Wasn't
there.
doing a lot of interior work.
No, it was not that at all. Yeah. So my grandpa literally built this house in El Cajon. He bought this land way out in the country. He was working in an airplane factory. He got this land, bought an acre, went out there. First thing he did, bought a trailer, put it on the land, built an outhouse.
I really want it to be that trailer. Just tell me that for now, just for the interview.
And then after he built the trailer and the outhouse, then he built a garage, moved the family in the garage, sold the trailer to get enough money for building materials to start building the house, like really on his own, like this.
Wow.
But after he died, my mom was going through his stuff and found this brochure and this deed. He had bought one of these plots. Yeah.
Really?
And my grandpa was like, he would, do anything to save like, a length of pipe and a bit of rope. I mean, he was just
he was financially conservative guy. He wasn't
Depression era.
betting the
He's
mood.
not going to buy a vacation property.
So even a guy like your grandfather, through all that, thought this was a winner.
And they ran. So they would have buses. They'd have big ads in the San Diego paper and the L.A. paper, and they'd have these buses, and they'd run them down like you do. Come to Florida and look at this condo.
Oh, yeah.
They totally did that. And my grandpa, he bought one.
Wow.
And then it turns out there's like they sued them, they did like lawsuits.
Yeah.
They never.
Boy, if Donald Trump had lived in another age, that would have been right up his
right,
alley.
exactly,
wouldn't it?
right, yeah. So this is like
so he never got to own this thing that he
never
spent $800 on.
So you go out there now and you drive. So anyway, the trailers is that a lot of these trailers moved out there. There was one place, Bombay Beach, which I love. I go there a lot. As a matter of fact, I am having a destination book launch event, March 11th.
Coming March, in 2 weeks.
At the Ski Inn, which is this great little dive bar. It's called the Ski Inn. It's got
Is it a Sunday that you're doing this? This is a week from Sunday.
No, it's a Saturday.
It's a week from Saturday.
Yeah, a week from Saturday.
A week from Saturday. A week from tomorrow.
So if you are in, the Southland, I think they call it.
They do?
Yeah, well, Southern California or Palm Springs area, even San Diego. You always wanted to go out to the Salton Sea. The Ski Inn in Bombay Beach, look it up. And we'll be there at 7 o'clock for this book launch event. Or it's going to be...
How far is Bombay Beach from where people live?
Well, if they live in L.A.,
yes,
then it is...
is it out in the desert?
3 hours.
And once you get to sort of San Diego, is it out in the desert?
Well, no, so San Diego straight south. So it's like 2.5 hours from San Diego, 3 hours from L.A.
Oh, it's out in the desert.
Yeah, it's out in the desert. It's right below...
This is the place where your grandfather had a plot.
Yeah, so if you ever went to Coachella, I don't know if you ever did, the music festival, but it's like 15 miles south of Coachella.
Wow.
Yeah. So, but March 11th, look up the ski.
That's a great place to have a book launch.
It's this destination book launch event, and actually, I'm going to
people stay overnight and take a dip in the sea?
No, but we always stay at the Fountain of Youth. It's the Fountain of Youth Spa and RV Resort. And it has magic healing waters.
Does it?
It does. It does, from those mineral waters that you come up and you can soak in them. Yeah.
So there's a spring there. That's in this, and this town is built around the spring.
No, the Fountain of Youth is another community. It's up the hill a little bit, which is good because it's
This town you're going to was really concocted around this.
Yeah, Bombay Beach. So this was Bombay Beach. There was many different developments, but Bombay Beach was built as a working man's weekend resort.
Calling Dr. Bombay.
I know, right? Yeah. So it had all these trailers. A lot of these things had these trailers down there.
Wow.
And then there in 76, 77, there were these hurricanes. All this rain came, all this stuff flooded.
Come on.
Yeah, flooded. And so...
This is a fascinating story.
I became obsessed with it.
Yes.
I became obsessed with it. I turned this book into a trilogy because I did so much research. And so I'm working on the next book right now that's going to come out in a year from now, called The Salton Sea Scrolls, 40 Days in the Wilderness with the Worst Environmental Disaster in U.S. History, where I moved down there and tried to live out the rule of Benedict, the Benedictine principles.
Did you do it for like 3 weeks or something too?
I did it for 40
things?
days.
For 40 days.
I did it 40 days. Well, I was on there 50 or whatever. But yeah. So anyway, yeah, this story is fantastic. And so...
It's fantastic.
Yeah. And...
So if people are watching this stream,
yeah,
they can tune into that stream of you doing that book reading.
Yep, on March 11th, 7 o'clock.
Fascinating.
You know, Pacific time.
And is there as much love affair you have with the Great Wall of China, or are you using that just sort of as the known great human endeavor?
There's not as much a love affair, but I do go with my family to China and travel in China for a month and a half. We do go to the Great Wall. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Regularly? This is a thing you do?
No, we did. This is something we did this as part of this thing.
And you put that in the book?
It's all in the whole thing. This is all like, I just had this woman, she says, like, I was just on vacation and I brought your book and I feel like I spent, 3 days with you traveling around, because it kind of is like a travel memoir, all this stuff. It's like...
So I'm going to Mexico on Monday.
Yeah, you should bring this
for a beach vacation. Is this going to ruin my beach vacation, though?
No,
is this going to make me like care about like the environment and feel like people shouldn't have worked hard to create a fake environment?
You know what's going to make you feel?
Cancun?
You know what's going to make you feel? Because this is like, I think this is probably like what you and I have like kind of built our ministries, if I could say, to sound more like my Baptist preacher self than my Lutheran self, on is like, if you tell people the truth, even if it's a dark truth, it makes them feel better.
Yeah, that's right.
Don't you think?
Yes.
Yeah.
So this is a truth-telling book because I want to live in a fantasy for like...
This is like where you just go like, oh yeah, the world is completely fucked. I suspected that to be true.
I kind of had an idea.
Yet, I feel like God is with me, standing next to me in it.
Did your grandpa ever try to get his money back?
We didn't even
from
know
page 133 in the book.
This is something we didn't even know. I didn't know.
Yeah,
we didn't even know.
He never talked about it.
But then, as it gets
unearthed, do you think
unearthed,
he had shame that he like got suckered in? Did he like think of it as he got suckered in?
I think my shame is generations old.
The shame you carry right at this very moment was genetically passed on to you because of the effect of...
No, I think his shame probably was way earlier than that. Probably came from his dad's shame from like, hello, his whole farm blew away, in the Dust Bowl. I think that felt great. I can't, provide for my family and, yeah. So
you're just a victim of your own shame, of your grandfather's own shame.
I'm not a victim, Doug. I'm a survivor.
Monuments, missteps.
Yes.
Say a word about that. Missteps.
Well, let's say you think that you could control the Colorado River and divert it through your own beautiful engineering prowess, and instead you make some missteps, and it ends up filling up the desert for 2 years. Let's say you think the best thing that I can do... That's like a great
metaphor for somebody's life.
Let's say the best thing that I can do is I'm going to unify all the warring tribes, countries of China and make one giant empire, and I'm going to build this great wall that's going to protect...
Okay, hang on a second. Are you saying that the Great Wall of China was in part not to keep out the enemy, but was to create a one China
and that's
expression?
Yep. That's one thing that, this is the guy...
I should have known that by now.
What do you know? Yeah, there's a lot of things I don't know. But if you do want to know more about China, I did write, because I got obsessed, a kind of smart-ass history of modern China in this book.
Really?
Yeah. So
I've heard, just from listening to people, mostly on NPR, about China, that there are like multiple Chinas, like the experience in different parts of that country are so vast, that are so different that you just really are not having the same experience in different parts of China. Is that true, or did I just
think
hear
wherever you are in China, there's one part of the experience you're having that's the same everywhere.
Oh.
Is that you're super uncomfortable. I mean, it's like there's a lot of people there wherever you go.
Like everywhere you go, there's a lot of people?
Everywhere you go. Like we studied, my wife went over there. We stayed in this small city. It was 4.5 million. It's barely on the map. No, you barely can find it on the map.
And people are like, what are you doing in that hick town?
Yeah, exactly.
There's under 5 million people there. What would you even...
It's like,
Is that so? Like, there's just so many people.
But there are these different ethnic regions, I guess they call them, where they had full functioning other countries, and they just kind of took them out. Like, Tibet you hear a lot about.
Sure.
And then the Uyghurs.
Do you think Donald Trump heard about Tibet when he called the Tibetan leader? Remember he did that?
Yeah.
He did that whole thing?
Yeah, I don't know.
I don't know
But this is, talk about if you are having a little PTSD from the Trump experience, I think this would be a good book for you to read for a little vacation because it puts it in some perspective.
Like knowing your spirit and winsomeness and humor, it's probably full of. I haven't read the book yet.
Yeah,
I just got it.
Oh yeah,
yesterday.
no, yeah. My goal is like what I even
is it full of that sort of the
Yes.
Russell Rathbun we're hearing right here?
Yeah.
That's in this book, I'm guessing.
Yeah, my brand, if you will,
Yeah.
is quirky, poignant, right? Yeah, and irreverently funny. Yeah.
And that comes out in the book.
Well, that came out in my dream sessions with my life coach. So, I mean, I
really
hope,
do
I
dream
hope it,
sessions with your life coach?
No, but I
'Cause
wish I
know-
would. I wish I could. I just made that up. Is that a thing? I just thought I made it up.
Well, I don't know about if it's with a life coach.
Yeah.
But two different people who mean a lot to me in my life, Brian McLaren and Jen Johnson, both of those people have done some work with
some dream work.
dream work.
Yeah.
Like not like dreams like I talk about them, like the things I want to do and the things I could imagine, but
like learning from their dreams.
that horrible
like
experience you
Jungians,
have
like
between
some
11
Jungian,
at night and 5 in the morning. That horrible
Did I tell
time.
you that about my? Oh,
No, I had a doozy last night though.
yeah.
I woke up uncomfortable with myself.
I could barely sleep last night.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, we had lunch yesterday.
I know. I wondered
connection?
if it was that really good hamburger from Revival or what. Yeah.
It was.
Yeah.
So I'm super interested in dream work.
Yeah. It seems like you would be.
Like what happens when you're dreaming, because it accesses a part of your consciousness that you don't let out the other times. Apparently.
Right. Apparently, it's doing some kind of work. Your dreams are doing some kind of work that you don't allow yourself to do.
Yes, because of your repression.
Exactly.
And I think I'm deeply repressed. But you're not actually doing that kind of dream work. Huh?
I was just going for a joke.
Yeah.
That's mostly my main thing. Like, even though I do
it's really a setup.
I do like to be poignant. I do like to find meaning. I am compelled by reading the biblical text and stuff. Really, if I don't care what you believe as long as I can make you laugh. That's my.
Is that true?
Yeah, I think
Is
that's
that
the
true?
best. If I can just land a joke, I kind of like that better than somebody reading going like, "Wow."
Okay,
I would rather have them laugh.
So that's great. So in your own preaching life,
Yes,
at House of Mercy in St. Paul, at houseofmercy.org.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
What's the longest setup that you remember to a punchline that you were working toward? Like, have you done an entire sermon to a final end point?
No, I've never taken it that far. My thing is like I more like to build.
Yeah.
I like to build the laugh. Where I'm just throwing one, and then I get to a point where it's like
just over the top.
It's just like one after another. You're just like, oh no,
you're shaking the bottle.
I'm just keep going and keep going.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's why I like that more like that. I have though. I mean, and I'm not proud of this, but I did at one point, through the prayers of the community, build an ongoing callback into the prayers of the community. And I did, and that was like, and that was, I overstepped. Yeah. But I find this is the thing about me.
You use the prayers of the community.
Right, and
as a setup.
And each way, I finished the thing, and then Lord, and rehearse our prayer, and then I would do callbacks. And then that was like, but the thing is, like, I know this is bad about me. If there's a punchline sitting there, I can't leave it be. I cannot leave it be. And it's caused me problems in my life.
It's like that last M&M in the bowl.
Yeah.
It's like that piece of skin on a sunburned shoulder. You're just going to pick it.
I just have to go for it.
You're not going to leave it.
Yeah.
What else do you want people to know about the Great Wall of China and the Salton Sea monuments, missteps, and the audacity of ambition? Is that a title, or is that a title and a subtitle?
It's a title and a subtitle.
Okay.
Because we love the title, The Great Wall of China and the Salton Sea, but people would be like, what the hell is that book about?
I think they would think it was about the Great Wall of China and the Salton Sea.
Right, but the next thing they would say is like, why do I care about that?
Okay.
Yeah. And
I
so
wrote a
that's
book called Flipped. I don't really worry about what people think the title means.
Yeah. Flipped? No, it's like blip or blink.
blink.
You know, it was
flipped.
like blink. Yeah,
Boom,
yeah, it's like that. Boom. Yeah.
I can't tell you how many people told me that when they thought it was about properties, making money off of properties in a short amount of time.
I would tune into the Home and Garden Network, and I'm like, this is not Doug. I would watch all those shows, and I'm like, this is not Doug. I kept waiting for you to come on to Flipped, and you never showed up.
Okay, you got to finish your glass of wine. That's our new thing. That's a thing we. Wow. Yeah, you're not kidding around. I should have had whiskey.
Oh, no.
Hey, thanks. I'm going to pretend somebody's still watching.
Yeah, no, it's good.
Russell Rathbun in the other chair. His book is called The Great Wall of China and the Salton Sea, if you aren't familiar
Monuments,
with it.
Missteps, the Audacity of Ambition.
And he's going to be in the Salton Sea area on March 11th.
At the Ski Inn at March 11th in Bombay Beach, 7 p.m., West Coast time, and we'll be live streaming it. But it'd be great if you come back. They have great patty melts.
Really?
Anthony Bourdain tasted it there, went down there.
Did a thing on their patty melts.
Which he said wasn't that impressed with. But, what does he know?
He is such an ass.
I know.
Like, really? You can't throw these people a deal and say,
exactly,
like, it's...
Yeah. They're like, what's your specialty? And everybody's like, get the patty melt. And he gets it and he's like, it's not that good. I know.
You know what? Enjoy the patty melt when you're there.
It's
for the
good.
rest
I've
of
eaten
us.
a lot of them. So this has been fantastic, and I appreciate this opportunity. And this
in the studio
is fantastic.
Yeah, it's available for rental.
Yeah, that's good. Yeah.
We can turn that sign around so it doesn't say anything.
You have a graduation party, bar mitzvah, coming up. Always wanted to do your own podcast. Yeah.
All right.
Oh, you don't have an official sign out?
Nope.
No, that seems good.
Why would you?
I don't know. I think that was some good conversation.
That was some great conversation.
I think that really...
Should we keep going for the podcast too and tell people what we think about it afterward in the postscript? All right.
Yeah, like Talking Dead, like the Talking Dead.
Yeah. Anything else for the podcast edition?
Oh, no, this has just been fantastic.
Yeah. Well, thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
I mean, honestly, friends, wasn't that fantastic? Just tell the truth. Wasn't that a great time with Russell Rathbun? Hope you pick up the book. Hope you spread the word about it. Tell people about the podcast. I really appreciate your listening, being a part of it. And that's the new live stream show. And in the other chair, you'll be hearing a lot more from that in the coming weeks. Thanks again for being a part of it all.